Mexico's president says U.S. President Joe Biden plans to launch multi-billion-dollar aid program in Central America. The Central African Republic declares a state of emergency over the threat of armed groups. And people protesting against a nightly curfew in the Netherlands torch a coronavirus testing facility. Hello and welcome to TeleSUR. I'm Jose Daniel Lopez in Quito, Ecuador, and this is from the south. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador says his U.S. counterpart Joe Biden informed him of plans to launch a $4 billion aid program for Central American countries. AMLO, who spoke with President Biden by phone on Friday, said the two discussed immigration and the need to address the root causes of why people migrate.
U.S. President Joe Biden told me that they will allocate $4 billion to support the three Central American countries mentioned like Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala. I thanked him for his decision to carry out an immigration policy that includes recognizing United States citizenship to millions of Mexicans who live and work in the United States.
Citizens will be heading to the polls in Trinidad's Sister Isle on Monday to vote for 12 representatives of the Tobago House of Assembly. The ruling People's National Movement currently holds 10 of the electoral districts, while the Progressive Democratic Patriots has the other 2. Both parties are contesting all districts. Meanwhile, by-elections are also taking place in Trinidad tomorrow following the August 10 polls, which created openings for 5 councillors. The main political parties, the PNM and opposition United National Congress, are vying for all posts. One independent candidate is also challenging a swing seat. The University of West Indies is investigating reports of the production of fake undergraduate and postgraduate degrees, which appear to be issued by the institution. The scheme is reportedly taking place in Jamaica, where the Mona campus is located. In light of the development, the university assured that all of its certificates have security features which help to guarantee authenticity. Furthermore, it urged employers and other educational facilities that have concerns about the legitimacy of the documents to contact the examination section for verification or report the matter to the fraud squad of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. In Brazil, hundreds of people have driven through Rio de Janeiro to demand the impeachment of President Jair Bolsonaro over his handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Protesters blame President Bolsonaro for the resurgence in cases that seen the death toll surpass 400,000, the second highest in the world. People are also accusing the federal government of mismanagement in the import and distribution of vaccines and are condemning them for the oxygen crisis that has affected patients' treatment in the Amazonian capital city of Manaus. Similar protests took place in several major cities across the country.
There was no oxygen. Patients had to receive morphine to not feel losing their breath, but there was no shortage of chloroquine. That's why we are here today, a movement of political renovation, on a united front, with people that think differently, demanding the impeachment of Jair Bolsonaro.
The country is saying that with Bolsonaro we can't have health or vaccines. Only by getting Bolsonaro out of the government will we be able to ask for basic things.
Brazil received 2 million doses of the AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine from India on Friday. The jab was developed by AstraZeneca and the University of Oxford. It was flown to Rio de Janeiro, where the state-run Fiocruz Institute is based. Fiocruz has an agreement to produce and distribute the vaccine. However, experts have warned that the shipment will do little to tackle an insufficient supply in the nation of 210 million people. This is contrary to a recent statement by President Jair Bolsonaro, who said that there will be enough vaccines for a proper immunization campaign.
These 2 million doses are just the beginning. It's only the beginning of the process. We are negotiating more doses in early February, and the active pharmaceutical ingredient needed for Fiocruz to start producing up to 15 million doses per month. These imported doses are to start the process, but the national production with the Fiocruz in Bhutan, and probably in a private company for the production of the Sputnik vaccine, which is being negotiated with allows to have mass production.
Uruguay has struck a deal for Pfizer and Sinovac vaccines, according to President Luis Lacalle Pou. The president added that the negotiations with other vaccine makers are also underway. Uruguay has been one of the least affected by the coronavirus in Latin America, registering about 36,000 cases and 364 deaths in total since the beginning of the pandemic.
The agreement with Pfizer Biotech and Sinovac consists of 2 million doses from the first laboratory and 1,750,000 doses from the second. The arrival of the Pfizer Biotech vaccines should be around March, but we are not ruling out the possibility that it could be around the end of February. The same goes for the Sinovac vaccine. We are still negotiating with 3 other laboratories and hope to have news soon. The government's aspiration is to have vaccines for 2.8 million people.
The Colombian capital, Bogota, has re-entered a full lockdown this weekend for the 3rd time in a row. This means that all non-essential shops are closed from Friday at 8 p.m. until Monday at 4 a.m. The restrictions include a ban on alcohol sales in supermarkets and stores during the same hours as well. Colombia has suffered a total of 50,000 deaths from COVID-19 since the pandemic began, with a recent increase in cases putting hospitals under severe strain. We'll take a short break now. Don't go away.
Innovation, science, the technological breakthrough, and its influence in society.
Viajeros del saber, el futuro está aquí.
Atomy. Monday, only on TeleSUR.
Welcome back. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro has said that his government is willing to turn a new page in its relations with the United States based on dialogue and mutual respect.
I have already stated that the Bolivarian government and the Bolivarian forces, who have political power in Venezuela, in a democratic and constitutional way, are willing to walk a new path of relations with the Joe Biden government on the basis of mutual respect, dialogue, communication, and understanding on issues of mutual interest. 2 years ago, we reacted to Trump's coup interventionism. Today we say, Venezuela, this 21st century Bolivarian and revolutionary Venezuela is ready to turn the page and build new paths of respect, dialogue, and diplomatic communication with the new U.S. government.
Ecuador is preparing to hold general elections in early February, and our correspondent in Quito, Denise Herrera, brings us a profile of one of the presidential candidates.
Indigenous leader and environmental activist Yaku Sacha Perez Guatambo was born on February 26, 1969, in the Talqui parish of Cuenca Canton. His name was Carlos until 2018, when he decided to change it to one that represented his personal struggle. Yaku, meaning water, and Sacha, meaning jungle. Among his campaign proposals are the renegotiation of oil contracts, a popular consultation to declare Ecuador free of extractive exploitation, the return of large-scale mining to the state, and constitutional reform, among others.
The human right to water must be protected, and in my government we will call for a popular consultation so that you will be the ones to decide at the ballot box about the exploitation of mining and water resources. Your decision is fundamental.
Yaku graduated as a lawyer, although his degree is not registered with the National Secretariat of Higher Education. What is registered are the 4 postgraduate degrees in watershed management, environmental law, indigenous justice, and criminal law. In the public sphere, Yaku was president of Ekwarunari, the Confederation of Peoples of Quechua nationality, from 2013 to 2019, and prefect of Asua province between 2019 and 2020, a post he left due to his candidacy for the presidency.
We have clean hands. We don't owe anything to any bank, or to corruption, or to drug trafficking. We owe everything to the people.
Yaku became one of the biggest opponents of former President Rafael Correa and was detained several times. In the 2017 elections, he declared that a banker is preferable to a dictatorship. He defines himself as close to a flexible, open left, and has also said he does not believe in capitalism or socialism or communism, but in communitarianism. His candidacy is one of several representing the indigenous movement.
Denise Herrera, TeleSUR, Quito, Ecuador.
The Central African Republic has implemented a state of emergency, supposedly to help crack down on armed groups that has been trying to overrun the capital for weeks. The army, backed by UN, Russian, and Rwandan troops, have been battling rebels that are seeking to overrun a December 27 vote in which President Faustin Archange Touadéra was declared the winner. The state of emergency, which will last 15 days, lets the authorities fast-track the arrest by allowing the military to detain suspects without going through a prosecutor. On Thursday, the head of the UN mission to the country called on the Security Council to substantially increase the number of troops to respond to a surge in armed attacks. Libya's warring factions have agreed to start a candidacy process for key institutional appointments towards ending nearly a decade of conflict after a new round of talks in Morocco. The process, set to run until February 2, aims to quickly fill several strategic posts in order to facilitate collaboration with an interim executive body set to be elected next week in Geneva. The positions will include the heads of the Central Bank, Electoral Commission, Anti-Corruption Commission, Supreme Court, and Administrative Control Authority, as well as the Attorney General. The parties are also agreed to form working groups to deal with the candidacy process for the posts, which have been long been points contention between the rival administrations.
The teams from the House of Representatives and the state met for 2 days on January 22, 23, 2021, in Bosnica, on the outskirts of the capital Rabat. During this meeting, it was reviewed what had been previously approved in Article 15 of the Libyan Political Agreement, signed in Skhirat on December 17, 2015. After a constructive dialogue, it was agreed to form and appoint sub-working groups to take procedural measures concerning the appointments of the following sovereign posts.
Hundreds of demonstrators have taken to the streets of Tunisian cities to protest police repression, corruption, and poverty. This follows several nights of unrest marked by clashes and arrests. Saturday's protests come as the North African nation struggles to stem the coronavirus pandemic, which has crippled the economy and threatened to overwhelm hospitals. The government on Sunday extended a nighttime curfew from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. and banned gatherings until February 14.
Because 10 years ago, there was the greatest theft of the revolution from the Tunisians and their demands committed by the Islamists.
We want to build a new consciousness, not the one they are financing through TV channels. We won't allow that anymore. It is over. We are fed up with it. We can't take it anymore. Basta.
And the coronavirus pandemic has forced Jordanian children into the labor market, with economic fallout and schools closed for nearly a year due to the COVID-19. Experts are seeing a rise in minors working to help feed their families. The UN Children's Agency UNICEF said it believed that many Jordanian children had been forced into precarious work since the pandemic began, despite being forbidden to employ those under 16. Some 76,000 children were already working in the country, according to the last official count published in 2016. More stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. In China, 11 of 21 miners who were trapped underground for 2 weeks have been rescued. Rescue workers pulled the first group of miners from hundreds of meters underground as the race to locate the remaining 10 intensifies. Specialist teams have been battling difficult conditions since an explosion at the Hunshan mine in Shandong province trapped the miners surrounded by racing waters on January 10. The explosion occurred in a ventilator shaft, causing a blockage that damaged their cable car.
The rescuers checked the miners to see if they had any injuries and covered their eyes for protection. Generally speaking, the rescue operation proceeded faster than expected. After lifting of the trapped miners who have been discovered, we will go on with the search for the other missing miners.
Staying in China, health authorities have started to fast-track the construction of a new quarantine centers as more COVID-19 cases re-emerge. The centers being set up in the Hebei and Jilin provinces are meant to accommodate close contacts of those diagnosed with the virus. The National Health Commission reported that Hebei recorded 19 new COVID cases, while Jilin registered 12. Currently, China has 1,800 active COVID-19 cases, of which 94 are said to be in a serious condition.
As of Jan 22, the city of Suiha had designated 134 quarantine centers, with 126 already put into operation. There are 7,473 rooms in these centers, and a total of 6,684 people are under centralized quarantine. The work of quarantine management and control is going on in a smooth and orderly manner.
Meanwhile, Hong Kong authorities have said that a temporary lockdown in one part of the city will be eased following mandatory testing for COVID-19 among the residents. Officials said that an area with 16 buildings in the Yao Tsing Mong district will be locked down until all residents were tested. However, those with negative results will be able to leave from Sunday evening.
Many people have done the test today. We have given consideration to the present situation that most of the people have taken the test. So after 6 p.m. today, we'll allow those with wristbands who have taken the test, as long as the result is negative, to enter and exit the area at designated entrances.
If there is such a need, obviously we do not rule out any future operations like this. But we would also like to say that currently the issuance of the compulsory testing notice is also an effective method in identifying the cases.
Portugal has voted in a presidential election amidst a lockdown as a result of the pandemic. The center-right incumbent candidate Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa is strongly favored to earn a second 5-year term as a devastating COVID-19 surge grips the country. Polls give de Sousa 58% of the first round, far ahead of socialist challenger Ana Gomez and far-right populist André Ventura on 15% and 10% each. The head of the state in Portugal has no legislative powers, but has the authority to dissolve parliament and call fresh elections, a pivotal constitutional role with a minority government in power.
Regardless of the pandemic, period, one needs to vote regardless of the pandemic. Or rather, one should vote especially because of the pandemic. That's it.
We must keep the rules so that democracy doesn't fail. Unity is very important at a time like this. No matter if you are from the left, from the right, unity is more important than peace. We all need peace because it is very serious what we are facing.
New Zealand's Ministry of Health is investigating a positive COVID-19 test result in a person who was discharged from a managed isolation facility. The country has reported 2,283 coronavirus cases and 25 deaths since the start of the pandemic.
Information from the Ministry of Health about a person in the community who has tested positive for COVID-19 after they have left our managed isolation facilities. This afternoon, I've been meeting with the Director General of Health, Dr. Bloomfield, and a number of the other health officials to discuss the situation. Health's incident management team has been stood up and is now working on the case. The case is a 56-year-old woman who has recently been through isolation at the Pullman Hotel in Auckland after returning from Europe. She tested negative twice during her stay and was released following that. We don't yet know the origin or the strain of the infection. It's important not to speculate on that until we have that information.
The Dutch government has implemented a nightly curfew, the first such restriction since World War II, to curb coronavirus infections. The curfew is effective between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m., and during these hours, only people with pressing needs can leave their home. Exceptions include medical emergencies, people who need to be outdoors to carry out essential jobs, and walking off pets on a leash. Violators can be fined over $100. The government has also imposed a ban on flights from South Africa, Britain, and all of South America, a move which is largely intended to target new infections variants of the disease.
I think they should be really cracking down more on things like people traveling to and from work and breaking the corona rules outside of the evening, because in the evening not many people go out. The only people who do go out are like me and my friends who all live on our own, and we're stuck inside doing nothing without being able to have social contact.
And people protesting on the first night of the curfew torched a coronavirus testing facility and threw fireworks at police in a Dutch fishing village. The video from the village of Urk, 80 kilometers northeast of Amsterdam, showed people breaking into the testing facility near the village's harbor before it was set on fire. Police said Sunday that they fined more than 3,600 people nationwide for breaching the curfew that runs from 9 p.m. until 9 and 4 a.m. and arrested 24 people on vandalism and violence. Thousands of people in France have taken to the streets in capital Paris to protest against looming job cuts. Demonstrators, including members of the Yellow Vest movement, labor unions, and political parties, blame the government for allowing companies to retrench people amid the pandemic. They also denounced low salaries and poor working conditions.
I am a postman. Postal workers earn 1,300 or 1,400 euros after 10 to 15 years. How do you manage to live in the Paris region? Can you imagine what it means to be without a salary? So these redundancy plans, we are reaching almost 1 million job losses. It's just something that has to be stopped. And we know that we cannot count on those who generate these redundancies, who generate this crisis, just to maintain profits, to solve the situation.
And we come to the end of this news brief. You can find this and many other stories in our website at telesurenglish.net. For our viewers in Africa, remember you can find us on StarSat channel 461 in South Africa and channel 539 in Nigeria. And join us on social media for TeleSUR English. I'm Jose Daniel Lopez. Thank you for watching.